You thought you were going to start an agency and be an agency owner. Ha! That is funny. And I'm going to explain that because it's funny because you thought you were going to just have people do things and you were going to own an agency and everything was going to go swimmingly well. And you were mistaken.
Yeah. Your job is to translate business problems into marketing solutions. That's it, right? All your people problems and everything else come next, but when you're in an agency and you have a client or a potential client and you see needs, your job is to translate their business problem into some executable that you can help them with. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So in sales, if you don't understand their needs, well, you're just like everybody else.
No more sales. Don't erase the word. No more sales. You are a problem solver. If you're not a problem solver, you can't do sales. It's the promised land. And what that looks like in my eyes is you've built a growth engine. This thing can run on its own. You have people doing sales. You have projects going efficiently. They're high quality work. Customers are being taken care of, and you're delivering results to those customers. You could go on a vacation for 3 months, and this agency's going to go. That's the promised land, and everybody wants it, and they think that they're going to be there. They think they're going to get there like in a couple of years. They think it's going to get there, and
I wish it was that easy.
Hello and welcome back to the Growth Engine Show with Ryan and Trice. And we're ready for another episode. I know you didn't want us to come back. I know you were fearful. It was maybe scary. You thought maybe we would hang it up, but no, we're back.
That's right.
And we have some topics and some things to talk about, don't we, Trice?
Absolutely. Always thinking of new ideas, new things, including this one, which we're both excited about today.
Right. And what we're going to talk about today is the 3 stages of agency ownership.
Ooh.
And so the 3 stages of agency ownership. You thought you were going to start an agency and be an agency owner. Ha! That is funny. And I'm going to explain that because it's funny because you thought you were going to just have people do things and you were going to own an agency and everything was going to go swimmingly well. And you were mistaken.
Yeah.
You didn't understand. So I'm going to go through the 3 stages of growth that I wrote down, and hoping you can help me name the 3rd stage, by the way.
Okay.
I'll describe it and you can help me with that name. Maybe the audience here can put ideas in the comments below. But stage 1, Trice, I called it just simple. It's a startup stage. Somebody just started this business. You're freelancing, you're a contractor, maybe you have 1 client or 2, and you start doing this thing and demand for what you're doing grows. And so you add another person. In the startup phase, you're usually between 1 and 5 people. And that startup stage can be 1 year or it can be 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Very in line with our conversation last time about like people and full-time versus contractors and all that good stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here that's new topics for most people, how to pay taxes. What kind of people do I bring on? What am I doing?
What am I doing?
What am I doing
every day? What am I doing? I'm going to make
what do I do for a living? Yeah.
Well, I've seen articles or posts on LinkedIn lately that says, the idea of fake it till you make it is stupid. And if I could reach through and punch them, I would, because we all do it. We all, when 100%. We're taking big leaps of faith and trusting ourselves to go out and do something. We have to do that. And then if we say we're going to do something, go learn about the topic, learn how to do something, and then do it.
Yep.
That's the only way it goes, man. And I think that's crap to think that you're doing a startup and you're not going to have to do some of that,
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, but you're like, there's so many people out there that talk about, project yourself as what you want to be, not who you are. And I think that's especially true when you're in ownership, because you don't want people to, especially clients, to see that you're really just a one-man shop with like 4 people who work 10 hours a week, right? Like, because that doesn't feel nearly as supportive of their business and their goals as an agency would. And so, of course, you're talking about strength and experience and all these things, and so you're projecting it a little bit. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of the deal.
I think the three stages, there's several ways to align the stages. There's
Yep.
revenue, employees, work, client type. Like there's all ways to measure this. So I'm trying to simplify this, and I'm going to simplify it based on the topics that are coming up with me with agencies right now.
Mm.
They're all centered around sales and the owner doing the sales, and the owner's trying to get out of doing the sales. And so I want to be real about this topic, right? So in the early stages, you're definitely under 10 people. Guess who the number one salesperson is? Oh yeah, it's you, agency owner. You're the number one salesperson. So if
100%.
you were a developer or a social media person or graphic designer, whatever you're doing, you're going to sell.
Still you.
You're
Yep.
going to sell. I'm going to be blunt. You are not going to get out of it. And if you actually want to grow an agency, you better freaking get good at it.
Embrace it. Yep.
You better
I
get
think
good at it.
We even said it in one of our last couple episodes that if you're that size of a firm, your client isn't buying you because of your agency and all these things. They're buying it because of you owner, because they trust, they value you, and you bring a team and expertise to them. That's the way it is. And until you're of some scale where you're not the face of the sales process,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And it's okay. You just got to embrace it. You got to understand that's what it is.
Well, I think, yes, absolutely. And then in stage two, so in stage two of growth, you get past this 10 person, you're past $1 million in revenue, type of situation. It's the growth stage. I call it the growth stage.
Sure.
You're growing. In this stage, you're learning about business, like you said. You're starting to get some formulas and some things figured out. You maybe get some processes down. You're really starting to mature as an agency and figure out who you are in your core brand and all these things. And you're putting it all together.
Yep.
It can be messy for a while.
Yep.
The second stage actually to me is one of the toughest stages from a standpoint of feeling like you have control of things. In first stage, you already know, like, I'm starting up, I know nothing, like I'm winging it. Like
you don't.
you don't know, and you're
Absolutely.
figuring out and scrambling.
Yep.
In the second stage, it's crucial that you get down a lot of the things we talk about on this show, because you will never get to stage 3 unless you do it. And the longer you procrastinate on doing those things, having a core process, having clear mission and vision, understanding how to manage people and time and projects and how to get clients and how to do sales, until you get that figured out, you will never make it to stage 3. Growth stage is tough because you have to get organized big time. And most agency owners, because of where they started at, organization and sales are not their cup of tea usually.
Yeah. So a way I look at these 3 stages, and this, you're right. The second stage is the hardest, and it's because it's so confusing. And just to your point, like, control is gone. In stage 1, you don't know all the things. You don't know how to do your taxes and 1099s and, like hiring people potentially not for the first time, maybe, but like getting good at it, finding the right kinds of people, right kinds of resources, how work aligns with that, and all those things, right? There's a lot of unknowns in there, and you're figuring those out for the first time, and you're totally comfortable with the idea you don't know what you're doing. But in phase 2, you've got some establishment, and you want to grow, and you've seen what you can do and how to do things, and how phase 1 is gone, and you've had some success, and you want to build on that. And it's hard because you're trying to learn how to do all of those things well. And what I like to, and then stage 3 is I can do a lot of these things well, and now I've got some rhythm. And so I look at it like this. I look at it as, in business, it's, can I sell the thing? Can I scale the thing? And can I sustain the thing? And very in line with this same idea, because you're basically like, in the beginning, excuse me, in the beginning, can I get clients? And the second is, can I grow this business to where it's something that can be more sustaining? and take myself out of the things I don't necessarily want to do and get great people to do those.
Mhm.
So, yes, I totally am in line with where you're at.
In stage 2, if people don't get through stage 2 within say a 3 to 5 year period, they regret ever going to stage 2. They wish they just stayed small or individually, like just a solo person. They
Yeah.
get frustrated. It's a struggle to get through. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to the hours it takes. This is, and I sell these agencies, right? And I talk to people who are getting ready to buy them, and I can tell which ones have an idea of what they're getting into and which ones don't. So, um, early on, and this is an argument actually for buying an agency versus starting one from scratch, but early on, that agency owner, because they're doing everything, you're going to be working a lot of hours. No joke. This is a grind. This is a lot of hours. It's deadlines. It's stressful. You're doing the work. You're doing the sales. You're just going after it. Most of the time, you're doing it off of pure adrenaline,
Yeah.
and you're not seeing your family much. This is what it's like starting an agency. It is a brutal business. You're not getting paid $300 to $500 an hour. You are getting paid, at that level, you're getting paid somewhere around, hopefully 100. You've got your prices up that level to 200 to 250 an hour in that
Yeah.
range. If you're in the 75 range, I can understand why you might start that wave on the first couple of clients, but to get things rolling. But you really need to be at 100 plus. But you're working a lot of hours. In stage 2, you're working a lot of hours also. And this is where you have to make some decisions quickly. Am I going to get organized? And am I going to reach out, talk to other people in the industry? Am I going to get a coach? What am I going to do? How am I going to get past stage 2 with really clear, really like fast, with efficiency, and with as few of headaches as I can possibly do? Because you should fear stage 2.
Yeah.
Your hours can be as much as they were in stage 1 unless you really get it together. Stage 3, which I put down the only word that came into my mind, which was promised land. It's the promised land. And what that looks like in my eyes is you built a growth engine. This thing can run on its own. You have people doing sales. You have projects going efficiently. They're high quality work. Your customers are being taken care of, and you're delivering results to those customers. You could go on a vacation for 3 months and this agency is going to go. That's the promised land. And everybody wants it. And they think that they're going to be there. They think they're going to get there like in a couple of years. They think it's going to get there. And
I wish it was that easy.
No.
Yeah, for any business, I mean, if it was that easy, there'd be more businesses probably, frankly. But I mean, there's a ton of agencies and a ton of businesses out there that are in this stuck. But you're right. This is where they fail, because two things you said there, I think, that are really important. And one is they make the decision, or they come to the understanding that they do not have their shit together. And that's not bad.
No.
It's recognizing they've gotten to a place where they could take a step back or invest in something to help them figure out how to get their shit together. And we talk a lot, on social media, and then even our discussion before this, we talk about mission and values and those things, and just even recognizing that maybe you need those, especially if you have people with you, and you make some decisions about the direction you want to go with your company, the types of clients you want to work with, the types of work you want to do, who you are as a group, right? Like, just even recognizing you may need that. That's a great step of recognizing you might be jumping from something into stage 2, right? And because it proves you can sense that your business is maturing. And as well as the measurables that help you do that. But the second thing you said there is, I'm willing to get help to understand how to do this or what gaps there are. And I think that's a huge thing. When somebody recognizes they need help, whether that's a coach or they need to, attend a bunch of classes or webinars or something.
Peer groups,
Peer groups, exactly. Something that starts the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Which gets their mind going in a certain direction, helps them understand that help might come in a lot of different areas and facets of their life, and it might come at them unexpectedly even, but the investment opportunity to get help, that recognition, I think put those two things together. One, I recognize I want this thing to evolve from being this to this, and two, I may not necessarily know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not a branding
Wouldn't that
agency,
be
so this
the-
isn't natural to me,
Yeah.
so I need help, whatever that is. I think that's a beautiful combination of people who can do well in the growth section of this maturity because of those two things. And they can really okay, now I can get all my ducks in a row, oars in the water, whatever metaphor you want to use, and grow this business because I've figured out what this business is.
Yeah. It's amazing. Here's the right question. Hear me, I'm putting words into people's mouths here.
Mm.
The right question that I never get asked. Hey, Ryan, how can I do in 3 years or 2 years what it took you 10 to do?
Mm.
That's the right question. Why is it the right question? Because I failed over and over and over until I figured it out, and I had to do it on my own. And because I had all that pain, I can speak to the things that people are going through.
Yeah.
And understanding that my solution does or does not, most of the time it does, but does or does not solve the problem this person has. And that's the thing. I'm looking at the growth stage is tough because this agency owner thinks they're going to get out of sales quickly. In that they get past 10 people, they start thinking, I'm going to hire a salespeople person. What happens? They hire them. It fails. Why? Because what they're training that salesperson to do, if they try to do it too early in stage 2, is they're training them on the things they do. Social media, SEO, paid search, web development,
The tactical execution of what the agency does. Yeah.
That person then goes out and starts speaking up to prospects about what? Those things.
What we do.
They don't truly understand what problem that they're solving for their customers. And so they don't know how to talk to people and let that conversation evolve into finding out if they have a problem first. And then that turning into, oh, they do have a problem. Oh, it does or does not actually fit in what we do. Can I feel confident in promising that I could fix it? Because when you do it that way, it comes real black and white. Oh, what we do that for other people. We do solve that problem for other people. Or, that's not really what we do. And that confidence is really important for any salesperson you try to hire. So most agencies fail because that number one reason right there, when they go to hire salespeople.
I 100% agree with you. Sorry, I'll just jump in.
Go ahead.
When I worked I've said this on this show before. When I worked for an agency, I said this exact thing. And then as a CMO, it became even more true. In marketing at leadership levels, your job is to translate business problems into marketing solutions. That's it, right? All your people problems and everything else come next, but when you're in an agency and you have a client or a potential client and you see needs, your job is to translate their business problem into some executable that you can help them with. That's it. Yeah. Right? So in sales, if you don't understand their needs, well, you're just like everybody else.
No more sales. Don't erase the word. No more sales. You are a problem solver. If you're not a problem solver, you can't do sales. It is clear as a bell. And in this particular agency world, for sure true, but I think that's true in almost every industry.
I agree. I was gonna say, if you sell it any other way, then you're a commodity.
Yeah.
And you're based on price. You're based on your value. What your value comes from, are they really, really good at doing the thing? And how much do they charge me for the thing? Period. That's it. There's no value discussion here, right? If you're a service, agencies, I tell you, you are a service. So if you're a service It's all based on what value do you bring to the table?
Mhm.
And then am I really a partner to this group? And
Yeah.
then it's how much do I charge?
Right.
It's always going to come down to a price discussion 100% of the time. But if you reinforce to them that you really understand their problem and that what you do is create custom solutions that solve their problems,
Mhm.
well, then you can have a different discussion about price. You're like, hey, look, our blended rate's $250 an hour. And the reason is so high is we really kick ass at solving problems like this.
Yeah.
It's a
I run
different
into this.
conversation.
I run into this with agencies who totally could package or tier price something. So I'm real big on
Yep.
figuring out different tiers that you bring customers in on, which actually equals to like hours and dollars.
Yep.
So you know what? I'm going to bring you in on the 5,000 level, 10,000, 20,000 level. And I like doing that piece of it because I like to be able to say, okay, and here's what we do and how what we're going to do is going to solve that problem right after that. Because when agencies are failing at this thing of selling packages services, they go to selling the packages and services so much of what the deliverables are that they miss solving the problem. It's a sentence, it's a thing, it's not a bullet point. It's something that's going on, not a
Yep.
bullet point. Your bullet points don't solve the problems.
Yeah.
Your packages don't quote don't sell sell the problem. It
Yep.
is look, what we're doing solves the problem overall, what we're doing.
Yep.
And that comes true like in SEO, early on SEO packages that I did. Spoke about
100%.
failures. Like, okay,
100%.
you get 4 backlinks, you get 2 articles, and no, that's not what they're asking for.
I'm
Truly,
literally
what they're
thinking
asking for is to rank
doing
your
that right now.
website,
Yeah.
and get traffic. I don't care if that's writing 1,000 blog posts or getting 1 backlink. I don't care how you do it. The problem is my site's not ranked. So
Yeah.
I think that people misunderstand. Look, you're just trying to get somebody in on a price point, and then you can, and if that price point then will give you the hours and the time to do the things you need to do to solve their problem, you've got the right connection. But
Yep.
this is that thing, they try it early on in stage 2, Trice, and they end up firing them or hiring 2 or 3, and they give up, and the owner goes back to doing sales. And I can't say, I'd have to know the situation to know whether it's right or wrong in any particular case. But what I will tell you is that it will continue to fail if they haven't figured out their core process. They understand that they're truly selling their core process
Yep.
and the problems that they solve, and
Yep.
having that down so well. If they say, I'm on a rampage, can you tell?
No, it's fine. You're doing good.
Well, we don't just solve one problem, Ryan.
Right.
We solve 10, 15, 20. Really? Well, then you don't
Right.
understand what problem you solve.
That you don't. Yeah, that's exactly. I was hanging on because that's exactly the point. Oh, we're a social media agency. We solve social media problems. We're a web development agency. We solve web development. We're an SEO agency. Hey, you 3 morons, get out of your own way. You solve one problem, and it's a visibility problem. Your client has a visibility problem.
Yes.
And by the way,
or PR or branding,
which is the visibility problem,
whatever.
right? They're all the same, right?
Yeah.
All clients have a visibility problem. So roll up, right? Because that's the answer. What problem do you solve? We help you solve your visibility problem. You are not as visible in your marketplace as you want to be, or the visibility you have is not the kind you want. People think of us as this when we're really this. Those are all visibility problems. They're branding problems if you really think about them, but you, social media agency, SEO agency, and web development agency all layer in to that problem. So scale it up, bring it up, because that's the real problem you're solving. And if you are an agency and you specialize in any one of those 3, right?
Mhm.
God's honest truth is the client really needs all of that and more, frankly. They need outbound, they need outside, they need customer facing types of activities and not just all this great digital stuff. However, you can really, really help them understand their problem by reminding them they don't have a social media problem. They have a visibility problem. And PR, social, all those things fit together. So my advice to you is layer it up, because that problem is never going away,
Mhm.
right? How you solve it might change, but that problem is never, and it might shift around, but it's never going away. Client always wants to grow, always wants to get more visibility, always wants to be the dominant player in their market, and they should. So, hello, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
Always layer into that.
But so this conversation is a direct correlation to back to the hours that agency owner's working. When you figure this stuff out, you'll find that you have quicker answers. You get clients faster. You close those clients quicker. Delivering on what you promised, your core your promise, your brand
Yep.
promise, and your
Yep.
solution is
Your
all done
competencies. Yep.
yeah,
Everything.
very well.
Yep.
You'll find that your hours start becoming less and less. Your stress drops down. It's easier to hire to hire a salesperson and come in and train them on those things. Not they don't need to know how to put together automated, HubSpot messaging.
Yeah.
Like you don't need those kinds of details with the salesperson, and
Yeah.
you won't get to that promised land, that third stage, where you're being able to like not hardly work in the agency at all, or to actually have the time to be a true leader, a true agency owner, and
Yes.
the face of the company, and really do the things that you really wanted to do when you started out before stage one, when you started this agency idea of growing this great, fantastic culture in this awesome agency.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And when you get into stage 3, it's not just I've recognized that as an agency I serve customers who have visibility type problems, but you can help a salesperson understand your job as salesperson is to figure out which niche of the visibility problem this customer has. Do they have a brand alignment problem where people think they're this, but they're really this? Do they have a market share problem where they wanted to be number 1 and really they're number 6? And how do they move up to number 2? Like, or do they have they don't know who they are problem? They're not visible at all in the marketplace. They're new, or they're just they don't do any marketing at all, and therefore they were like just living on word of mouth. All of those things you can have. You come in preloaded with a million answers on how to help them. Makes the sales process job for you so much easier.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
like do the work, and so that's where salespeople to me really make their money, is they do the work ahead of time. They understand this customer enough to walk in the door and have a conversation and say, look, I get it. Tell me more about your goals and your problems and your scenarios and your competition. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
Because then you really are a solution provider.
I think we talk about agency owners. That's in the first 2 stages, it's reversed. The agency owns you, or the company owns you.
Oh yeah.
It owns you, your ass.
Yeah.
Like
It's like the military, your property. Yeah.
I
You got to
mean,
be wherever they need you.
and that's why I encourage in that stage 2 to get this stuff, get it, and get through it quickly. Because until you can figure that out, you won't make it into stage 3. In there's very few cases I've seen it, at least, where you're not the agency owner isn't the top sales guy. Like you've got to change that dynamic and have somebody else doing the sales in order to get to that stage 3. But yeah, you're own in stage 3. You own a business, you own an agency, and it doesn't dictate your hours. You are in control of time. You're in control of your schedule. You're in control of your life.
I have worked for some agencies in my life, and one was very mature and very large organization, and they were definitely in stage 3, and they had been acquired, and that group owned multiple agencies, right? So it was some serious scale at that point, and the goals were different, and the way ownership operated, not ownership, leadership operated was much different. And I worked for some agencies that were in stage 2, and they were really, really struggling to figure out how to get to 3. And because when that kind of clarity, right, of how to do this is when you don't have that, it makes stage 2 really, really tough. You're like, I got clients, I've got money, I've got a few $1,000,000 of revenue. This is the thing. But now I want to figure out how to, as an owner, take myself out of this. I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, whatever the case may be. And I have other things I want to do in my life, right? Like, that's why you become an owner. Getting clarity on these things is what the difference is. Even if it's wrong, frankly, it's direction, right? You can be clear with your team. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. This is the kind of help we're going to get. And maybe it's going to evolve over time, but we're working toward this. And now everybody knows that, right? Oh, in 5 years, we're going to have a managing director who's going to run the business, and our owners are going to be a little more hands-off, and they're going to be visionary leaders and not necessarily day-to-day managers. Okay, cool. Here, all the things that are going to happen are leading toward that. Okay. It's really, I think, valuable to people at the front line to understand that it's not the owner wants to take themselves out of the equation.
No.
It's they want to have a different part in the equation.
And it's not that they're lazy or they don't want to work.
No, they've earned the right not to be, frankly.
Well, I would say you brought up something that reminded me in stage 2, the growth stage. What happens without the agency owner knowing it is they become the roadblock. They become the thing that's holding it back because they're still running like they were late stage 1 or early stage 2. They're not getting out of the way. The agency is wanting to grow, actually.
Yes.
At that point. And something, either the way that they're handling work or the sales or something else, it's like they don't understand that they need to hand off that baton. I've talked about this over and over to the team, and let the team start growing, because you've built it, you got it up and running enough that it's not going to just nosedive. You've got it up and running. Now, instead of just being one person driving the company, now your leadership team can drive that company. And that is what gives it that boost and that power to thrust in that third stage and give you the peace of mind and the agency you've always wanted. So
yes, I love that, because you're exactly right. So I talked about this a little bit before the show, and I won't get deep into who this is or anything, but I've got a friend that works for an agency, very established, a good revenue stream, I would say, firm. And their owner came up in the same part of the business that my friend is in. And he's the CEO now. And they've hired a president COO to be the day-to-day manager. And these two guys basically run the whole thing. My friend has basically evolved into being a senior leader. We'll call it chief something officer, right? Owns their category in their mind. And everyone underneath recognizes, even though that's not his title, recognizes that's his job. We go to him. He's our guy. And he's been operating in this way for 3 or 4 years. And the owner finally kind of figured out that my friend sees himself as chief whatever officer. And because they came up in the same area of the business, the owner was a little put off by that and decided to realign the entire business, because he didn't like the fact that somebody thought that he was in a position of leadership that the owner thinks is his. So it's really complicated. It's a tough situation, but you're exactly right. Here's a business that's grown immensely. It's very strong. And the owner cannot get out of the way of the business. And they think they've got to really control it for it to keep going and growing. And like,
they just get in that pattern though. Like they get in that cycle. It's hard to break it because you feel like the success as the owner was because you did that.
Yes.
And you've been doing it now for years.
You think it's you.
And you've been doing it now for years. So why would you change that? And the reason why you change it is because you can't get to stage 3 without it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's two takeaways here that I'll inject. And one is just exactly what you said. You have, as an owner, your opportunity to really, really enjoy where stage 3 goes is based on getting feedback from all these senior people in your organization to make some decisions about where you go as a company, getting the outside help to say, help us build the framework. We've got processes and we're really good at doing the work and getting the business to do the work. But what we're not good at necessarily is this becoming a self-fulfilling thing for me as an owner, right? And so that's a great opportunity to get all the people underneath you in line based on their feedback and yours, so that this thing can really be a thing for you. And so you don't have to work all the hours of the day to keep it going.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And the other thing is, I read a book recently, and it's not a new book, but it's a book written by 2 Navy SEALs called Extreme Ownership. And it's about the idea that if this company is failing in some way, or if you as an owner see things culturally that you don't like, it's your fault. You are ultimately responsible for all the things in the environment, not just as an owner, but every single person is responsible for their environment. And owners in this exact situation that we're talking about, and what you're sort of referring to, is when owners can't get out of their own way and they really have a trouble letting it go a little bit, they've got to recognize here that they're the catalyst to this becoming the thing. It's not, and the equation is bringing the people together and build it as a group. But you're still the catalyst to that. You're the person that makes the decision that I'm going to empower these people to do that. And I will tell you, having worked for a company that was stuck in stage 2 and couldn't get out of their own way, and having worked for an agency that was firmly in stage 3 and growing like crazy, that was the difference.
Stuck in stage 2. There is no size of business or agency in stage 2. Like it doesn't cap out. I see businesses at 20, 50 million. I've seen them at 70, 75 million.
Absolutely.
And I've seen, and people think, well, then it was successful. No. How do you measure success?
I mean, you are, but
if you're measuring it off revenue, if you're measuring off of profit, culture, people love working there, growth, all those things, like now you're talking about something different. And so
100%.
All this traces, honestly, and this is why I actually wrote the growth engine and tried to take what I'd learned about this piece of it. And it was hitting that stage 3 where it was like, oh, I didn't know you could get here. Like I heard about it, and you're up above the clouds and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much peace here. Like it's beautiful. And it really, I mean, I wanted people to build that growth engine to get to where, I finally got to after too much headache, after too much work, too many hours. And that was really the piece. It comes from my heart, man. It really does. It comes from a good place of really, truly wanting to see people go through these 3 stages with as little problem as possible,
Yeah.
But that's where I want to see them do that, and I want to help others. So that's why I started it. No more plug on me. Like I just
shameless plug.
This whole show,
it's okay.
Shameful plug. I want business owners and agency owners. I just want them to love what they do and have a great time growing their business. Period.
You're exactly right. Like I've worked for agencies, and then I worked on the client side, and now work in startups. Startup life is in same iteration of these things. It's a little different, but you still have the same processes, the same sticking points, the same discussions, and so it's really relevant for both of us. We both lived it in a lot of ways, or are living it, and I can't stress to people enough that outside perspective, and I got no skin in the game here, right? Ryan and I are friends. We do a lot of things together.
We are
great. Once in a while when we're not arguing, but we have different sides of, we see different sides of this coin, right? Having lived both sides, and which side, as a CMO versus an agency owner and those kinds of things. But we both 100% agree with this, because the idea that you finally realize, based on what stage you are in this process, the kind of help that you need is so invaluable. You're finally like, it's self-reflection enough to see what the business is doing with or without you, like maybe you can't see the whole picture. You need an outside perspective. Maybe you need somebody to help you facilitate the bringing together of a team to get collaboration and consensus. All those things are true, by the way, just depending on where you are in the process and your willingness to like work with other people. But the ability to recognize you need that help is so, so great. And that's how you really know, honestly, you're getting to a different place where you become less of the person who wants to do the thing and another who wants to watch other people prosper by doing the thing. That's a totally different mindset and much more about culture and mentorship and you developing as a person and as an agency, frankly, that is incredibly valuable and fun. So.
Well said. Well said. I feel like we need to pass the offering plate though.
Amen.
Amen. I mean, that really
it was a little preachy. I get it. It's fine. We're both super passionate about this.
All right. We'll close today. We went a little long. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to share, like, and comment on what you thought about this episode or future topics you'd like to hear us talk about. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.